Welcome back to CBS Saturday Morning. We begin this half hour with how a key campaign promise of Donald Trump is being felt along the southern border. The president-elect is vowing to carry out what he calls the largest deportation effort in American history. The tougher border policies gain traction among many voters, but his election is also causing fear and uncertainty among desperate migrants trying to enter legally. Immigration reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez talked to those on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border for a look at this crossroads for U.S. immigration policy.
You sleep here. Okay. Wow.
Ivan Castro Santos, his wife, and their 4 children have been living in this crowded room over the past 4 months. The young family traveled from southern Mexico to this shelter in the northern Mexican border city of Nogales, joining other migrants from across Latin America.
Venezuela, de
Ecuador.
Acaban de pasar de Perú.
Peru too.
Ajá.
Half of them are children. All of them have one goal: finding work and safety in the U.S.
You wanted your kids to be safe. That's the reason you left. Tens of thousands of migrants are estimated to be here in Mexico, waiting for a chance to enter the U.S., including the children behind me. But now many of their parents are growing increasingly desperate and concerned that President-elect Trump will make it much harder for them to enter the U.S.
We're going to have to seal up those borders.
Trump ran on mass deportation and harsher asylum policies, a platform that appealed to many U.S. border residents like Ana Parada.
That was the main thing, is immigration. I really saw the Biden administration being a little bit too lax on immigration. And having Trump back in office, I believe it's going to be a difference again.
On the Mexican side of the border, the reaction to Trump winning was dramatically different.
Asustada.
You were scared.
Sí, me sentí asustada porque él prometió en sus discursos que iban a deportar a todos los inmigrantes.
Because he promised to deport all the migrants.
Y que iba a cortar la CBP-1, que es la aplicación y el
and that he would close down the application system that you are trying to use to enter the country legally.
A doctor by trade, Luz Angela says she and her son fled political persecution in Bolivia. If allowed into the U.S., she says she would like to help others.
You want the U.S. to help you, but you also want to get the chance for you to help the U.S. through your medical work.
Claro que sí.
Yes.
Whether the U.S. gives her that chance is now an open question.
Sabes que te amo.
For CBS Saturday Morning, Camilo Montoya Galvez, Nogales, Mexico.
Mayor Eric Adams told Fox 5 New York, as we move towards competitive contracting for asylum seeker program.
Bro, this motherfucker wants a pardon so bad. You are going to hear even more unhinged shit from Eric Adams. More unhinged than before. It's so funny that most of the rest of the world is scared of a second Trump presidency, yet more than half of our dumbasses don't see it. Yeah, I mean, it's not shocking, but...
We've chosen not to renew the emergency contract for this pilot program once the year term concludes. He's talking about the taxpayer-funded prepaid debit cards program for illegal immigrants here in New York City.
And everything's changed.
Already sunset.
Which angered so many people. They're like, what? They're getting debit cards? I saw it for myself. I spoke to migrants outside. We're going to get to that in a second. But I thought this was interesting, the New York Post guys. Trump calling Eric Adams saying he wants to rebuild the city he loves. So a lot of people who were run out of the city, who were charged with crimes that were specious here, right down the street here in Manhattan, might say, screw that city. But he's like, no, I love this city. And I want to help you rebuild New York City.
For sure. I think when it comes to immigration, and you talked about foreign wars, I think you'll see from multiple cabinet secretaries a renewed focus with our agencies on the southern border, right? That the invasion is right here of our homeland, and that needs to be taken care of front and center. For sure.
And people mad. We were defending borders in Ukraine and not our own. I, by the way, told you guys a couple weeks ago, I went out and spoke to illegal migrants and got some of their reactions to different things that are happening. I asked one of them about Tren de Aragua and what they had been seeing, what he had been seing. Listen to this clip. It's fascinating. He's got a lot of advice for America. Listen.
La situación con las pandillas, especialmente la pandilla o el cartel de Tren de Aragua, ha aumentado crimen o su presencia de esta pandilla.
Sí, cada día aumenta más, parece mentira, pero sí aumenta. No he convivido con ellos, pero sí tengo una compañerita que la conozco y en el hotel donde ella pernocta.
Tyler Oliveira style shit on Fox News. Bro, Fox News invented this genre. What do you mean? This is the OG, brother. This is the fucking OG. Tyler is simply following through on the method and doing a cheap copy of it, you know?
Nota, ellos están haciendo vida allí y lo que ella me comenta es que estas personas prácticamente toman el control de esos espacios, de esos lugares. Entonces ahí es donde yo vengo, que tiene que haber intervención del gobierno. No es solamente un agente de seguridad, sino debe haber algo mayor que controle eso. O sea, ¿cómo le van a dar beneficio a una persona que esté haciendo daño y de paso que se quiera controlar todo el edificio? No es posible. Debe existir un refuerzo, digo yo, masivo, porque creo que la seguridad es muy poca para lo que realmente está entrando acá a este país.
I wish this clip had gone a little longer. I said to him, is America turning into Venezuela? And this guy happens to be a Venezuelan. He goes, yep, you guys are turning into Venezuela. He also went on to tell me, listen, why aren't you guys vetting people before they enter the country? He's like, it's too late if you vet them after. This is an illegal immigrant who's saying, why are you giving...
What do you say to that? What do you say to that, brother? What do you say to that? Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. That's what you say to that. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Ay, 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 por Dios. Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump. Economía por Trump.
benefits to gang members who have taken over the hotel.
By the way, yes, this is why I say Hispanics are Turkish coded, 100p, okay? My Flexicans are all Turks. Venezuelans are all Turks. It reminds me of that Turkish guy. I will never forget him. Motherfucker that crossed the border and immediately, in the process of crossing the border, gave an interview to Fox News and was like, bro, the fuck? Y'all have no security here? What the fuck's going on? You could have a coming in. I mean, not me, but incredible stuff. Speech by AOC on the Dems political alignment.
A left party.
I feel like at this point between Elon's Twitter and conservative podcast, the only way with confidence Dems win is if Trump is an utter disaster. He is going to be an utter disaster. He is 100% going to be an utter disaster. And yes, Democrats are banking on it. They're going to fundraise nonstop. I will never forget this man.
Did you have to pay a cartel?
Yes.
How much?
Around 10,000.
10,000?
Yes. In fact, the American people is right, completely true. Who come into this country, they don't know. Well, okay, I'm good, but how if they're not good? How they're killer, psychopath, else? No guarantee of that. Why, like no security, no security check, no background check.
No security check, no background check. You're worrying about who's crossing the border?
Yes. Of course, me, because I'm like, people are not look normal.
My brother assimilated, okay? He fucking stepped foot. He stepped foot on U.S. soil and assimilated, like, instantaneously, brother. Instantaneously. Many such cases. God damn, dude. What a legend. What a fucking legend, dude. One thing that I gotta talk about that I'm very frustrated by is the way that liberals on the immigration issue, the way that liberals have been speaking out of pocket about Latino people has been very frustrating to see. On the one hand, haha, it's funny to see a dude who's literally a fucking illegal immigrant, an undocumented migrant being like, America's turning to Venezuela. You got to fucking kick my ass out of here is an insane thing to hear. But also simultaneously, this right here is contributing to liberals priming themselves up to also fucking be on board with the inevitable purge that will come with Trump's mass deportations.
Latino men who, despite the utter disrespect shown by Trump and his promise to deport some of your mixed status families, most of them voted in a 55% majority to make the deportations happen. Y'all voted with Stephen Miller and David Duke and against your own sisters and chose Kamala, who...
Excuse me. David Duke endorsed Jill Stein. Excuse me. David Duke, Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, did not endorse Donald Trump. He endorsed Jill Stein. And Richard Spencer endorsed Kamala Harris. As far as I know, Donald Trump lost his primary endorser the neo-Nazi Nicolas Fuentes. So his record is infallible. Probably because he didn't just get endorsements from Nazis, he directly hires them. But I don't know. That's neither here nor there, okay? It'll never not be funny that David Duke, a vicious, rabid, virulent anti-Semite, endorsed the only Jewish person on the presidential ticket. He's like, Jews control the media. That's why I'm voting for this Jew to control the nation. Oh, everything is so insane, dude. How do you make an SNL sketch? How do you make an SNL sketch out of that? You can't. It's just like, it's real life. It's way funnier. It is infinitely funnier than anything you could come up with on your own. You know what I mean?
Chose Kamala Harris with 60% of their votes. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and to your wives, sisters, and abuelas from here on in.
This kind of sentiment is fucking nutty and gross. And I think that's what differentiates like liberals from leftists in many instances. So if you have this kind of tendency in your mind, if you have this kind of attitude in your mind, you got to squash that real quick. You got to stamp that shit out. There is no place for that kind of attitude in this community. I'm just letting you know. I've never been the type of person that says, oh, like, fuck the red states, like they deserve to get washed away by hurricanes or whatever. Like the only time I've ever said anything of the sort, anything even close to that would be like a joke. You know what I mean? Like the fucking Florida Project. I've always been a firm and committed believer in universal healthcare. That means every single Trump Republican, that means even fucking Nazis get healthcare. And under the Trump administration, when the Latino family members of the people that voted for Donald Trump that are undocumented, if they get deported or if they're in the process of deportation, I will fight for them because I don't give a fuck about which party is doing the wrong thing. I care about the violence that people are subjected to, not who's doing it. Not only is vote scolding just universally abhorrent and people hate it and don't respond positively to it, deportation is a horrifying, inhumane, cruel punishment for the lightest version of a crime. If someone is in here in this country and they've been living here, they have family members that are American citizens, they've been working a normal, honest job day in, day out, trying to make a fucking living, terrified that if they get some federal scrutiny, they might actually be kicked out of this country. And you just go to their house, you find out where they are, and you go with jackbooted thugs of the state apparatus and you kick their door in and you fucking chain them and you force them into concentration camps. And then you kick them out of this nation after they've spent a number of different years in here. You're a horrifying monster. It doesn't matter if Obama's doing it. It doesn't fucking matter if Biden is doing it. It doesn't fucking matter if Trump is doing it. And it would not have mattered if Kamala Harris was doing it. The violence itself is what matters. And I'm seeing stuff like this. I'm kind of scared of the future when I see stuff like this here.
Latinos for Trump, it is time to embrace the consequences of your actions. I've always been a firm believer of fighting fire with fire. If somebody goes low, I'll go lower. Now, with that being said, I know for a fact that most Latinos for Trump have undocumented family members, whether that be...
Like, how the fuck are you Latino? Because this dude is Latino, by the way. He's a Latino Democrat. How the fuck do you have such wanton disregard for like random people who didn't do anything? They're going to get deported anyway. Why not make them the first? What the fuck are you guys saying, dude? Okay, let me ask you this. The Nazi Party rises to power. And there were, if I recall correctly, okay, in the process, there were Jewish people that voted for the Nazi Party as well. I remember reading a newspaper clipping from the time. And now they're hunting Jews to put them in concentration camps. Are you calling the fucking Gestapo on them? Are you going to do that? You're going to be the first to be like, nah, I'm taking over. I'm helping the Nazi Party. That's fucking insane. Do you have no capacity to understand that like The Nazis are bad because they were doing the fucking mass concentration encampments, not because they disagreed with you. So if you participate in that action yourself, then you're a fucking Nazi. Do you not understand that? And it's not even directly the Jews that voted for the Nazi party. It would be the family members that didn't vote. Like, that makes it even worse overall.
Their parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, etc. So if you know of a Latino who voted for Trump, I urge you to call this number and report said family members. It's time that these Latinos for Trump get a taste of their own medicine and a taste of poetic justice. Now, I know what you may be thinking, Angel, this is extreme. And I agree. But extreme problems call for extreme solutions. And unfortunately, many innocent...
Like, I genuinely cannot understand how fucking libbed up someone can be. To me, this just says like, oh, you just wanted your party to win. That's it. You did not care about Trump's deportations. Like, you didn't care about Trump's deportations at all. You just wanted your party to win. And you would be perfectly comfortable if your fucking party that won was doing the deportations, because your party is still in power. So you want Biden's ICE to deport the family members of those who voted for Donald Trump? That is psychotic.
Innocent people are going to be affected by this, but you can't be that innocent if you raised a Latino for Trump. And before all of the Latinos for Trump come at me all angry, this is what you wanted. This is what you voted for. You should be happy. Let me see that smile. But there you have it, guys. Once again, there is that number. You know what to do. It's time that these Latinos for Trump learn the hard way. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Latinos for Trump.
377,000 likes. I was not expecting this type of pettiness, but I love it. I'm in Spain and my professors can't stop talking about how scared and disappointed they are. The world isn't just laughing, they're anxious and concerned. This is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson level pettiness. I love it. This is not only dystopian, it's terrifying, dude. This to me spells trouble. That it's not, you're not going to see a fucking, you're not going to see a rise of resistance liberals this time around. The resistance liberals are just going to become Republican. Like, they're just going to become more and more reactionary. No more resistance liberalism, you know, no more reactionary approach to like the Republican policies that you are at odds with. Why didn't you just vote for Trump then? Like, this is what I don't understand. Why didn't you just vote for Trump? Why? Like, how is this any different? Like, what was the different? Oh, you're just mad that you didn't get a $50,000 tax cut for your fucking startup? Is that why? That's why you think like you're on board with the mass deportations? Because like you're advocating to do mass deportations. You've looped around and become the Latino for Trump by doing this. Ironically enough, I said, this has 54,000 likes. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? How are you any different than the same people you claim to hate for even entertaining this nonsense? Deportation is inhumane, no matter if it's happening to the relatives of a Dem or Republican, scratch a liberal. My God. This is why I think you're wrong about liberals going back to protesting against Trump. By the way, I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see that happening. Many are fully embracing Trumpism because they view it as a way to punish minorities for the Harris loss, knowing they'll be fine. He lives in Mexico. The blue voters in my red county have all been talking like this. It scares me and confuses me so bad. Read my logs regarding Nazi Germany. We have always held the well-being of the German people in the fatherland, to which we feel inextricably linked, above our own well-being. Thus, we greeted the results of January 1933, even though it has brought us hardship personally. The Association of German National Jews. I mean, I'm sure that they were more so interested in like self-preservation and protection at that point. What is this?
The whole vote blue, no matter who, is so much more dangerous than these people who stand by the Democrat Party realize. Because not only is it allowing the Democratic Party to continue doing what they're doing.
Okay, I don't really care about like rerunning the fucking Green Party vote shit. A lot of fuck you, you're on your own going on out here right now. Yeah, this is a time where people are supposed to fucking help one another, not actively participate in the Trump deportations. It fucking blows my mind, dude. This is legitimately no different than watching all of the fucking blue voters, the Democratic Party voters, becoming little Adolf Hitlers themselves. And all it took was for them to lose a fucking election. This kind of cruelty transcends party lines. What a deeply selfish country we are. What a deeply selfish nation we are. Myself as a Latino, which I know you're not, Ken, I totally get behind what Joey Reid said. Latinos who voted for Trump, which is definitely their prerogative, who to vote for, should know that if any of their undocumented relatives or friends are deported, it is very likely because they helped Trump back in the White House. Elections have consequences. Ken says, I am Latino. My mom immigrated here from El Salvador. So you're raised in a Latino household with Latino culture all around, speaking Spanish, eating traditional food from El Salvador? That's so funny. They're like, nah, I'm calling into question your Latino background. Honestly, it feels quite a bit more bleak than 2016 in ways. Yeah. How the fuck did the liberals go from abolishing ICE to straight up dialing the ICE hotline? How? God damn, we are so primed. I used to say this all the time back when we talked about criminal justice, but like the American punitive mindset is such a horrible way to approach the world. I hate Donald Trump because of his deportation policies. I don't hate Donald Trump because he's not a Democrat. And in the same vein, I hated Kamala Harris's also watered down version of muscular border policies for that same reason, because I think of the harm that will happen to people regardless of their fucking perspective. If you can't see that, then I'm sorry, you have to change your mindset immediately. I don't give a fuck what they say. I'm a Mexican-American essay. I was born here and raised. My grandma had to pass the test to become a citizen. Them motherfuckers can do it too. Yeah, it's hard, but y'all can learn too, motherfucker. Yeah, I know. Famously, all of the undocumented immigrants are just like simply refusing to take a test. And that's the reason why they don't. It's just like readily available, but people are just refusing to do it. I will say this much. I talked about how the Democrats were priming their base to have reactionary opinions against undocumented people by personally advancing a right-wing border bill. But even I did not think that the reaction would be this quick. I did not foresee Democrats immediately going, yeah, we're going to be the ones who deport you. Fuck you. That fast. That is crazy. It's terrifying.
The community here, it's mostly Democrat, mostly. But I see it now that's the new generation. Now they're seeing things differently. And I was surprised that this time around, 57% of the Stark County voted Republican.
I'm a Democrat. I've been a lifetime Democrat.
We talked about it as far back as 3 years ago. Border crisis narrative is incredibly annoying from the media, by the way. They are absolutely feeding into this. And they're going to cause the Democrats to behave in a totally, even in a more reactionary way than they were already going to behave. It is so incredibly manufactured. There's always been a crisis at the border. When there are humanitarian problems occurring at the border as a consequence of the conditions there, 120 degrees they have to traverse in the desert, all that sort of stuff. And then also the American government adding on to the cruelty with the way that they choose to deal with people that are crossing the border, that are seeking asylum. There is an extra crisis on the border. There's always a crisis on the border. It's never stopped. The problem is the way media covers it. You can either cover it like you do under the Trump administration, which is somewhat honestly, from a moral grandstand point of view, like an actual honest point of view, by saying this is really messed up, this is really horrible, the way that we are treating these people is absolutely ridiculous. Or you can treat it in a way where you look at the border and you say, there's a gigantic crisis happening in the border currently, and it's really bad because so many people are coming in. So many people are coming in. So many people are coming in. What are we going to do? Depending on who is in charge, we either deal with it from the point of view of reactionary garbage, claiming that this is a huge issue, not taking an actual stance on it, but just simply channeling the right-wing agitations as they have done. Just covering it as, many Americans are concerned that the border is turning into a pylon with hundreds of thousands of migrants coming in through the floodgates. Like, that's no different than what Fox News says. If you want the right opinions ahead of time and a worldview that is that revolves around being empathetic to everyone unconditionally, support the Hasan Ibe broadcast by subscribing for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub, or by just generally being a leftist. I was saying this back in 2021, and it's no different than what I've been saying for the past 10 years. But people actively yell at me for having these positions. They yell at me over and over again. They say I'm a spoiler. They say I'm a fucking bad guy. They say I'm a grifter. They say I'm audience captured. All projection. I'm stubborn to a fucking fault on issues that I care about, and I will always criticize whichever party is doing this bad shit. Understand that. You agreed to being a terrorist yesterday? Yeah, I said I don't give a shit what people say. I don't care. I don't fucking care. It's obvious what my positions are. I speak on them for hours and hours and hours and hours every single day. You have the capacity to figure it out on your own. If you want to be primed by someone who is desperately trying to misunderstand what those positions are, if you're going to get influenced by that person, instead of like diving into it yourself and making up your own damn mind, then I can't change your perspective. Different than what Fox News says. When MSNBC is saying it, or whenever, the Associated Press is covering it in that way, they're doing a disservice. If they truly have a left-wing point of view in the way that like so many imply, then they have to recognize that simply offering contentious coverage on a particular matter does not mean that you're doing honest coverage on the issue. So that's where we're at right now with the border crisis, and the media is absolutely allowing Republicans to get away with it. Wait, what's going on at the border? Absolutely nothing that is different, okay? That's the whole point that I'm trying to make here. Nothing different is happening at the border that hasn't happened in perpetuity in the United States of America. The only difference is an administration is different now, and they're going to do still the senseless cruelty on the immigrants that are trying to find a better life for themselves. But this time the media is going to act as the cudgel, or act as they are contentious, and pretty much push the administration that was already willing to do reactionary garbage to begin with to immigrants, because nobody gives a shit about them. They're going to use the public opinion on immigration as a reason as to why they have to have these detention centers, and why they have to do these like dragnet ICE raids and shit like that. The reason why I showed you that is because my position on this is unchanging. Because unfortunately the problems are unchanging and the solutions are always going to be the same.
But I voted Republican in different elections, especially this one. Well, that's my identity. I've been a Democrat down here. In family, like I said, generations back, we've been Democrats. I believe this county turned red this election. The last time it was red, I believe it was 1890, somewhere around there. My grandparents, great-grandparents were immigrants. But my thing is the economy. People are suffering right now. They don't understand the middle class, I think. I think they forgot about the middle class.
People from here say, well, that was back with my grandparents and my parents. They were Democrats because the Democrats would help the poor. But that was, over 50 years ago. And I've noticed that it's not like that anymore. We live here by the border. Only the people that live here by the border know what's going on. That was my main thing that I voted for him. And besides, the first time that he won, he did make a lot of changes, especially with the economy. For this past 4 years, the economy was too much for us, the middle class.
We must also recognize that today we woke up to a very different Rio Grande Valley that we thought we had.
Folks on the Democratic side have been really slow to have those conversations with Latino households and families. We've seen a lot of efforts from Republican groups come into the community, canvass, block walk, knock on doors. I know that the Democratic Party does that too, but we can't wait for a big election to have those conversations. By that point, it's too late.